Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the final portion of chapter 4 of the Gita, which we are studying, talks about the goal, the qualities to reach that goal, which we did, right? So the goal of a human existence is to reach the self. And what are the qualities you need? He gave in the 34th verse, which we did, right? Surrender, questioning, service. And in the 36th verse, he encouraged us, the final verse that we did last week. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter what your past is. If you are genuinely committed, you can cross over this entire realm of worldly existence and gain enlightenment. It's possible. It's a commitment which matters. And the only way you can evolve is through knowledge. Only when you understand the higher can you give up the lower desires. It is desires, these attachments which keep you from your own self, from enlightenment. So how you do that is knowledge, which he talks about in the 37th verse, which we have to begin today. So 36, he said it's the direction which matters. It doesn't matter what your past is. And now 37, what is the direct means to gain liberation is knowledge. The knowledge of the higher. So before we get into 37, are there any questions or clarifications? To what we've done so far? All clear? Yeah.
Verse 33, the translation, the second sentence says, all actions without exception culminate in wisdom. Why he is emphasizing on the word exception here, without any exception?
But see, 33rd, he's saying the sacrifice of wisdom is superior to the sacrifice of wealth. So he's given the gradations, right? Wealth is the lowest, knowledge of the self is the highest in terms of what you can give somebody. Correct? So when he says all actions, it means sacrificial actions. Understood? So it doesn't matter what you give, whatever your capacity is, it will all help you evolve, wisdom, become wise. So although you should try and move up, you must make sure your sacrificial actions help in a better way, obviously, right? But it doesn't matter, it's the attitude which counts. So if your attitude is to serve, you will evolve. Doesn't matter what you serve, how you serve. The attitude should be there. That's what he means. Right? So all sacrifices, in other words, he's just used action. It's understood. Without exception, culminate in wisdom. Got it? Anything else? 37. यथैधांसि समिद्धोऽग्निः भस्मसात् कुरुतेऽर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा. As blazing fire, Samidha, Agni, reduces fuel to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge reduce all actions to ashes. So, karma here, you must understand in those days, it's not physical action he means, it's the desires underlying the action. So, they use the word action very liberally. Karma means because it's your vasanas that become thoughts, desires, actions. So you can say vasanas, you can say thoughts, desires, actions, anything. They just use actions to mean the whole thing. So, as we have explained, now please understand, right now we are attached, all of us are attached to the world, less or more. The object you're attached to differs. Some are more attached to money, some more to the family, some to name or fame. These are the three standard ones. Money means sense objects. You're attached to what money can buy you. Nothing to do with money per se. So it's like a child being attached to toys. So you can't see anything beyond that. It's not possible. Right? Just as it's like telling a child how futile. You are you're worth $1 billion. Like a billionaire father telling his child, what are you playing with these small toys? He can't understand what he's talking. So similarly, these masters have been telling us from time immemorial, you are the self. You are that supreme being. You don't understand what they're talking. What does the child do when his father talks? He is blabbering something. Let the father go. It's wasting my time. Let me get back to my game. He's not, he's waiting for him to go. Similarly, you tolerate the master. Somebody says is a great spiritual person. You'll tolerate them, just waiting to go. To get back to your toys, the toys that make our joys. So, how can you ever get over your toys? How did you were a child once playing with toys, how did you get over it? When you grew up to be an adult, you understood the adult world is much superior. There's name, there's money, there's family. Where is that and where are the toys? There's no comparison. So they're gone. So from now, this level that we are attached, you can only see that, right? Your children, your spouse, your money, your career. You can't see anything beyond that. So how can you ever get over it? How?
By knowledge, by understanding that these are ephemeral or no value.
By understanding that there is something much superior to this. These joys in the world are temporary, limited. They pass. In fact, your life will pass and everything around you will pass. So only if you understand there is a better joy, a superior joy, and more permanent, can you ever hope to get rid of the low. So there's a beautiful poem by Wordsworth called Lidomia. I don't know if I haven't spoken this about for a while, right? Lidomia. It's in the poems book, the Select English Poems. So Swamiji, my guru, he did his education in literature, right? And so he went through the entire English literature and took out these philosophical gems. So called a book Select English Poems. And in the end, there are 3 long poems which talk about this devastating effect of attachment. Now, in the first of those 3 poems, Lidomia is a Greek princess whose husband, the prince Protesilaus. And what happened is Protesilaus led the Greek armada to Troy. They were always fighting, right, across the waters. And they used to consult an oracle before they left for war. And the oracle said the Greeks will win the war. But the first Greek soldier who sets his foot on the Trojan sand will die. That's the oracle. Now, don't ask me how, why. It's a story. So, these guys are all arrayed there, the whole armada. But what's happened? They're all there on the shore. What happens? Nobody's getting off. Because they know they'll win the war, but first person, so they're waiting for somebody else. So what will a leader do? The great Protesilaus led that armada. He jumped. Simply jumped. And he was killed. So Lidomia is pleading with Zeus, the Greek god, what have you done? Why have you taken him away in the prime of youth? So the poem it's a story, and the concept is what is important. So the gods grant us 3 hours with Protesilaus' ghost. And the idea is to try and put some sense into her. So he's lecturing to her those 3 hours. He comes and he says, look, the object of life is to go to the higher. That's what he says. Love was given to transcend to a higher object, not these lower things. It's a beautiful, you can read it, beautiful construction. The gods approve the depth and not the tumult of the soul. A fervent, not ungovernable love. You must have a deep love, but it should not be out of control. Means it should not be attachment. There should be pure love. You're attached, and therefore you're suffering. He's trying to explain to her. And why I'm bringing this in is he's talking about what is heaven. Heaven is not a place. It's the state of mind when you achieve, when you focus on higher values. Climes where the sun who sheds the brightest day, earth known is all unworthy to survey. This is Wordsworth. It's incredible poetry. He says, I am in a climate where the sun shines so bright that this earth is just dark, unworthy to survey. Anything on this world is unworthy. An ampler ether, a diviner air. He says the space itself is more ample. Look at the words. Ampler ether. The space there is more substantial. Wordsworth. The air is more divine. That's where I am. So he's trying to say, I gave up my ego. I sacrificed myself. That is all spiritual. It's not nothing to do with death. You sacrifice your ego. You escalate to the higher. So what he's trying to say here is the fire of knowledge. That's the whole yajna ritual. The fire represents knowledge. When you understand the higher, you offer the grain. Grain represents the body, matter, this ego. So that fire of knowledge consumes the ego and egocentric desire. That's what he's trying to say. As blazing fire reduces fuel to ashes, O Arjuna, the fire of knowledge reduces all actions to ashes. So you must understand this. The only way to get rid of these lower desires and attachments is to understand what is higher. And what is higher beyond this body, mind, intellect is the real self, the pure consciousness, the spirit. That is the state of complete bliss, permanent, immortal state, the fourth state. So your goal in life is to get there. Whatever you have now is just temporary. It's a question of time, it will pass. You don't understand. It's so fragile. Nalini dalagata, right? He says your life is like a drop of water trembling on a lotus leaf. A little wind and it falls. And you're so arrogant about this life. Even within this life. When we were 20, how arrogant we were. We looked at a 40-year-old like oldies, right? When you're 20, you were 40. Your parents were those days 40, 45. How do you look at your parents? Yeah. And before you know it, you're there. How cruel. How time takes away everything. But we don't understand. Now at 40 or 50, you'll say, 70. Before you know it, you're there. So within this world, everything is so temporary. Life itself is so fragile. You're just living in a complacent delusion. That's all it is. So you must gain the knowledge. Once you're inspired by that, all these attachments fall away. You are in a sea of your own bliss, like Protasalos. So he tried to educate her, but didn't work. So attached. Yes, Chitra, you had something?
Yes, Gautamji, this is about the heaven. What you just mentioned, heaven is a state of mind. And in my view, my naive view, I think this word is is the cause of a lot of conflict and maybe misunderstood and lost in translation over the centuries. Could you please explain and clarify how the Vedic gurus described heaven?
No. I like we've just mentioned. See, the heaven is when the mind is peaceful. You are in heaven. It's a state of mind. And when the mind is disturbed, you're in a hell. It's as simple as that. Suppose you say, I'm going through hell. What does it mean? It means I'm highly agitated. So, heaven and hell are obviously not geographical places. So, what happened? Why this misunderstanding took place is because of the illiterate people who can't understand philosophy. They have to put the philosophy in the form of stories, and they tell them if you do bad, you'll go to hell, you do good, you'll be in heaven. So, all the masters use this technique to educate all humanity, because they knew this philosophy is accessible only to a few. So to help them, they did that. But as intellectuals, this is an intellectual classroom. So I'm explaining what it means. So heaven is when you reduce your ego and egocentric desires, you are in heaven relatively, which is explained in the Shastras you're asking as the lower grades of heaven. There is Pitraloka, Indraloka, then there's Brahmaloka. So there are grades of heaven. In the sense, as you grow spiritually, you become more and more peaceful. But ultimately, it's enlightenment. That is the supreme. So it's all state of mind.
But Gautamji, how do you, is there a certain, at the end of life as we know it, when the Atman attains, discards its material body and finds a new, the form of energy, right? Is there a heaven to be understood in that transition or not really? Because I'm just completing my thought real quick.
We're going to deal with that on Saturday. You wait.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
In the chapter on birth and death, in a nutshell, it's very simple. First of all, Atman doesn't move. Body dies. And what remains is the mind intellect from death to birth in the unmanifest form. So it is possible that just as when you're sleeping at night, between two waking states, you dream, right? So between death and birth, the dream state is possible, which you can call heaven if you're peaceful, hell if you're agitated. That, yes. So that is again mental only, not a place. Now, who's going to explain all this to the masses? It's not possible. But we'll get into that. The actual explanation, this coming, today is Sunday, right? Saturday, in the Vedanta class. So you can tune in then. Manjula.
Sorry, Hari Om Gautamji, sorry if it's a very basic question, but when you say that we want to reach the self, and self is, we are defining it as energy or petrol or gas or something like that, what are we really trying to go towards at that point? That we are just energy, or?
See, again, energy is, you're bringing it down to matter. The self, spirit cannot be conceptualized. It is beyond your intellectual conceptualization, number one, right? It is that which, see, the self, what we call the closest definition is consciousness, right? It is that which makes you conscious. So right now you're conscious of my voice. It's the voice is getting into your ear, but then you have become conscious of it. My voice is hitting this table also, but it cannot be conscious of it, right? So that's the life principle, the spirit, the consciousness. Now, becoming one with consciousness, the only way to understand it is how you become one with your waking personality while you're dreaming. So your waking personality is Manjula. Where do you live?
Newton, Mass.
Newton,
Massachusetts.
Boston. Okay, Boston.
Boston.
So you are in Boston, in a comfortable home, and you're dreaming that you are Anju, not Manju, and in poverty in a remote village in India, argument's sake, and you're starving and your children are starving. Let's say you're dreaming that. Now, you actually believe yourself to be Anju, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're actually going through that, whether you understand it here or not. Now, it's not possible for you to conceive that that is a delusion. You're actually somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you understand it is when you wake up.
Mhm.
When you wake up, you say, my God, what was I going through? Similarly, right now you are the pure consciousness. Now imagining yourself to be Manjula. So only way you can understand what it is to become one with consciousness is to wake up from this delusion. Alright?
I
So,
think so.
that's what it means. Becoming one. Merging. It's like the river merging with the ocean. The river loses its individuality, it becomes the totality.
Okay.
And what is keeping Manjula in this dream?
It's just
What?
my own, the ego, the body, the intellect, mind, everything. Identifying myself.
Identifying, excellent. So what is keeping you is, it's not body, mind, intellect, yes, but the body, mind, intellect is attached to the external perceptions, emotions, thoughts. The body is attached to the physical objects. Your mind is attached to emotions. Intellect is attached to thoughts and ideas. That pull keeps you in this delusion.
Sure.
And that's what we are talking about here. The only way to get out of that pull is to understand that you are that consciousness, to relate with that knowledge. And that's the whole knowledge of Vedanta. So, why did you suddenly get interested? Few months ago or whenever you did? Because you understood. What kind of a life am I leading? I'm sure you have everything, but there's got to be more to life than just this, right? That thought came.
Okay.
So that thought comes. It has to come sooner or later. And then you gain the knowledge. And that's what he's talking about in this section. How you gain the knowledge. What are the qualities? And keep moving.
Thank you.
So in 38, Krishna now gives his final advice in this chapter, 38 to 42, how to gain the wisdom.
Is it possible that you understand that things are temporary and that this is not everything, but you still don't understand the value of the higher? Is it possible that?
Is it possible that you understand intellectually that everything is temporary, but you don't understand the value of the higher? Of course,
That you don't.
that is the whole problem. It's just information right now. It has not gone into your personality. See, it's like a person understanding he's an alcoholic and he understands alcohol is destroying him, but he still drinks. See, he's not deeply understood what is actually going on. So, this is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. So, all of us will be in that boat, less or more. Many of you have been listening for a while, you understand, right? This is futile, this is temporary, and what? Completely attached. So, obviously, it's not sunk in, it's not become a part of you. It's not a living, breathing wisdom. It's just upar se. Upar se means surface, superficial.
But what makes you experience that greater joy?
What makes you experience is as you go deeper into the knowledge, as you reflect more, as you serve more. You understand? And not look for the joy. See, that is the whole problem. When am I going to get joy? That is like a self-centered. So as you go deeper, automatically the desires thin out. That is the joy. And then comes a time when you have that conviction and that satisfaction that it becomes unshakable. Where is that portrayed? Not burning of Lanka, before that. when Sita gets the ring from Hanuman. So in the Ramayana, the whole story is Sita gets kidnapped by the 10-headed demon. See, it's all symbolic. Now you can't say, who thought of 10-headed demon? Why? In fact, there are ads in India, Amrutanjan. So Amrutanjan is a headache balm, So there's an ad in which Ravana is a 10-headed demon. So he puts that balm in one head and all 10 heads become headache. What a balm. Anyone thought of it as a genius. It's a nice ad. But, so what the story is, Sita represents us, the individual. As long as her attention was on Rama, who represents the consciousness, the self, it's all symbolic. She was very happy, whether it was the richness, the luxury of the Ayodhya palace, or the poverty of the cottage in the jungle when they were exiled. She was happy both ways. So what it means is, once your focus is on the self, it doesn't matter what your external situation. The problem came when her attention shifted. See, all of you should understand, it's not a story you've heard. What is happening? Her attention shifted to that golden, fleeting deer, which is the world. It's golden, very attractive, fleeting. Any joy comes and it goes. It's not worth it. But you get so caught up in it. And she got caught up and she got kidnapped by the 10-headed demon Ravana. So once your focus is on the world, you become a slave of the 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action. That's the 10-headed demon. You are enslaved by the sense objects and you're forced to act to fulfill those desires. This is the slavery everybody's in. So what are you doing all your life? You are creating bills and then you say, I have to work to fulfill my bills. Now, who asked you to create them? This is the 10-headed demon. Your desires create bills after bills and then you are forced to act, to work, to pay for those bills. Actually, that's what it is. Unending loop. Then, when she was taken to Lanka, then her intellect resurfaced and she said, what have I done? And she refused to enter the palace of Ravana, which was a very luxurious palace with all amenities, facilities. And he was coaxing her, his followers were coaxing her to become his queen and enjoy everything. And she said, nothing doing. And she was kept in the Ashoka Vana. Shoka means sorrow, Ashoka, no sorrow. So if you refuse to indulge and waste away your life in the world and start focusing on the self, you will be free from sorrow. You'll be peaceful. And if you continue, the real peace comes. That's what it means. Then Hanuman came and gave her Rama's ring. Then she got that conviction. And once you get that conviction, what happened? What did Hanuman do? He burnt the whole of Lanka, right? Burnt the whole of Lanka means the sense objects lose their influence, their hold over you. The world loses its, you're not infatuated by it. It's there. Big deal. You understand? So don't blame the world. It's your infatuation. That is the problem. because you don't have the knowledge. You understand? So what you're asking is, just because you refuse to indulge in the world doesn't mean you're in a state of heaven. That takes time. You have to continue. She had to remain in Ashokavana for a while. And the temptations are always there. But if you are genuine and you continue, then you get that ring. It's all symbolic. No ring will come. It's a mental, intellectual conviction. Yes, I'm on the right path. And then that real peace and happiness will come. So even if you turn to the path, you're peaceful. There's no question about that. So it's great. As you grow, it's more and more peace and happiness. The world, what is it? Like Ravana, what was it? He had all the money in the world. He had a harem from heaven. Now you want Sita. You want somebody else. There's no end. Miserable life. No matter what you have, you're constantly craving for more. All the time agitated. So better to be peaceful with these higher values. Even if you're not evolved, you're still far better off. If you can be in your room and sleep at night, you know what a gift that is? None of these fellows sleep with all the money. That's why the best business to get into is mattress. Because nobody sleeps. So they're always looking for a better mattress. They have the best one, then they'll want it has to come up, then go down, then wedge, and then middle, and then water bed, and then this bed. So you will always have business, because if you say this mattress helps, everybody will come by that. So the fact that you can sleep on any mattress, you are very far ahead of most human beings. You can sleep, no? Any mattress. No mattress also. Then what's your problem? Don't be greedy for more bliss. It will come in time. That's what he says now. Next verse. In fact, here it is. He who is perfected in yoga finds it in the self in time. Kalena. One of the fascinating verses. Clear? 38.
Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramih vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhah kalenatmani vindati.
Verily, there is no purifier here like knowledge. He who is perfected in yoga finds it in the self in time. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. So, he says nothing, there is no purifier in this world other than knowledge. As I told you, only if you understand something is higher will you get rid of the lower. How is it possible otherwise? You can give yourself examples after examples. A person is blind. When he understands he can get his eyesight back, what will he not do for that? But if he doesn't understand and everybody else is blind, you'll remain like that. So it's like that. Only when you understand there's something better will you strive for it, right? Now we don't understand. Nobody has this knowledge. And we misunderstand the religion, everybody, don't do this, don't do that, world is bad, indulgence is bad. Who wants to do all that? Unless you have something higher, how can you give up the lower? So whole thing is a mess. So in Vedanta, you just focus on giving the knowledge. Person who understands will grow with it. There's no other way. So that's why the children, you try and impose rituals and this and chanting and things on them, they run away because you're not explaining to them the meaning behind it. Just as you ran away when you were a kid. You need to know why. There is no purifier like knowledge. So when you understand how much better this spiritual life is, how grand the self is, infinite bliss, immortality, the sheer disparity, if you understand, you will immediately lose your infatuation with this madness. So you don't understand, that's all. I know people who've come with the right attitude to learn and all, full time, and they've got caught up in the world in the course of years, and because the infatuation with the world is so powerful, and they've really not understood the knowledge. I don't blame them. So he who is perfected in yoga, so you have to perfect yourself in the three disciplines. Gaining the knowledge is jnana yoga for your intellect. But you can't do it 24 hours, right? So the rest of the time you have to work through your body and mind. Mostly through your body, which is karma yoga. You have to act selflessly in the world. You're doing your business, do it to help your clients, your employees. You're doing your medicine practice to help your patients. That attitude should be there. You're raising a family, nothing wrong with that, but serve the family, no expectations. That should be the attitude. So all these things are karma yoga. They'll help you grow. And bhakti, little bit of that devotion. I am nothing. There's a far greater divinity that pervades everywhere. That feeling of insignificance is devotion. Now there's nothing but ego. I am all important. The world should cater to me. That is ego. Opposite is devotion. So you perfect these three yogas. It's a question of time. Kalena. Because suppose you ask, how long will it take? In time. The diplomatic answer Krishna has given. A great diplomat. So Arjuna, you can see him asking, when will I get that knowledge? Kalena. You perfect yoga, it will come in time. Which is true. It means how much ever effort you put, that's the time factor. You don't put in the right effort, it will take a long time. You put in the right effort, it's a short time. So your focus should be putting in the effort. That's it. In gaining the knowledge. Clear? And to gain the knowledge, what is the first requirement? Know that you don't have it. What is the first requirement? Before that also.
Humility.
Humility is already mentioned, knowing that I don't have it. Before that, Study is gaining the knowledge. To gain the knowledge, you have to know I don't have it. Before that, I'm saying, not after that. Vasu?
You have to admit that, no, I don't know. That's
That is already mentioned, that you don't have it. Jayu?
There is something higher than you, higher than what's around you.
There is something higher. Before that,
there's no value for the world.
There is no value for the world. Before that,
Existence of the God.
and Rama?
You have to kill your ego that you don't know.
Ego already mentioned. Why are you repeating? You want to talk something, everybody? You're repeating the same thing. So many hands.
Awareness.
Anybody repeats ego?
Awareness.
I don't know. Saurabh, next.
When you understand the futility of the world.
Futility. See, you're right in the sense, only when you understand you're in a prison will you want to gain the knowledge to get out. The humility, you want to study, reflection. I have a morning study, we must get up early morning. All this comes afterwards. You don't understand you're in a prison, why will you want to get out? Tell me that. Everybody. So if I ask you, how are you? My children doing very well. One is Ivy League. One's got a job also in Manhattan. And then this happened. And then that. Big lecture I'll get. Nobody understands that this whole thing is one big prison. Mind is racked by insatiable desires. The body wears away. It's a question of time. I'm not being pessimistic. In fact, I'm being extremely optimist that in spite of all this, you still have a way out, which is the knowledge of self. But you don't understand. You're asking, right? All this, why you don't understand? When is my grandson coming? Inside is that. What is happening to my daughter, my son, my this? So that is the value. Actually, you must at least admit. So infatuated with all temporary things. So when you really understand you're in a prison, being tortured every day, automatically you will keep looking. Who knows the way out? And once you gain that way out, you will be, how do I get out? Let's get on to getting out. That will be your only interest. We don't understand. Next year is our 25th anniversary. Next month is this. I'm dropping my child off. First time she's leaving the house. I felt like crying. At you, not because of your the tears in the eyes. They're leaving the house after 18 years. You'll all start crying also, along with that person. She is waiting to leave the house. That's the beauty. So, you don't understand. That's the problem. So why will you want to purify yourself if you don't understand you're dirty? That's the problem, no? Chitra?
Gautamji, are you saying that we should not have any pleasures as we execute on our obligations?
Did I say
I'm just
that?
trying to say when you ask me next time, how are you, Chitra? I'm trying to get ahead of this and try to,
I'm not going to ask you how you are. I'll get a half an hour answer. Are you mad if I'm going to ask you how you are? Why would I waste my time? I know how you are. I don't have to know first of all. There is nothing to do with that. The pleasure is in getting out. You understand? See, suppose you are in a prison and being tortured every day. Somebody tells you there's an escape tunnel. The fact that you're in the escape tunnel, you're free from all the torture of the prison. Coming out of the escape tunnel to open air is enlightenment. I'm just giving this as an example, right? So there's a prison where you're being tortured every day and you're still there because Friday evenings they don't torture you. That's what you're living there for. Fridays at least we don't get tortured. That is your pleasures. It's just absence of sorrow. And then you're in a tunnel where you're totally free from all the problems of the prison. That is the pleasure. What you're saying, doing your obligations, living a life of service, sacrifice, that is the tunnel. But you're still not totally free. Still dark in that tunnel. You still hit your feet once a while here and there. Compared to open air, where you're completely free, right? The tunnel is still part of the prison. So that's the pleasure in life. The real pleasure is in actually programming your life to get out. That's the real pleasure of living. Amanda.
Hari Om, Gautamji. How did we separate from the self to get into this prison in the first place?
See, how we separated from the self, the only explanation is ignorance. See, while you are awake, there's always a possibility to not recognize yourself as the waker, and that's why you dream, right? What is a dream? A dream is when you've become ignorant of your real personality as Amanda, and you start dreaming that you are Jackie. Let's say, I'm just giving an example. So, how did Jackie come about? Because of ignorance of Amanda. As long as you know you are Amanda, you won't dream. But somewhere you lose sight of that truth. So, the only way to understand is you are the self. But within the self, there's a possibility to become ignorant. And that ignorance has created this Amanda. So, those who have realized the self have created this body of wisdom called Vedanta to help you retrace your steps back. And what is keeping you, as I explained to somebody earlier in the class, is the desires and attachments. So you got to work to overcome them through knowledge. So ignorance is the disease. And that's why we say knowledge is the cure. What cures ignorance is knowledge. Right? Arun?
Namaste, Gautamji. Just to expand on Amanda's question, right? So yesterday you said that we were part of Brahman, which is the infinite, and from there, out of free will, we chose to, come into this life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when we are Brahman, we are, complete and, have everything. Why would we make a decision? I mean, I'm reasoning it with my little intellect. Why would we make a decision to come to a lower level? Probably that's her question too.
Yeah, of course, that's everybody's question. Nothing to do with you or her. Why would you do that? See, there is no answer to that question. The answer is from here backwards. It has happened. Now, why it has happened? First you get to Brahman, then you will know why it has happened. The fact is that it has happened. that you are Brahman and you're out of that reality and into delusion. That is the truth right now. So your focus should be on getting back to Brahman. So it is a possibility. Now, why you did it, you won't know till you reach Brahman. Because you have to be Brahman to understand why did you do it. You don't know Brahman. You don't know ignorance. Now, what are you asking? So a saint gives that story. He says you're in a forest and suddenly somebody shoots an arrow through your shoulder and you ask, and you can't see who it is. It's a forest. He says, don't waste your time asking who shot it. Why did they choose me only to shoot? Well, what should you do? Take out the arrow and go get treatment. It's done. The damage is done. So we've given the highest possible explanation that the only explanation is as long as something exists, there's a possibility to become ignorant of it. That we experience all the time. As long as there's a rope, there's a possibility not to recognize the rope as a rope. You see a snake. That's it. Now if you say Brahman, why is Brahman? According to Brahman, nothing has happened because there's illusion. You're asking the rope, why is there a snake? Rope is saying there is no snake. There's only me. No, you are in delusion. No, get out of it. Why did I come? I want to sue this case in the Supreme Court. What are we talking? We are in delusion. We know that. Just get out. Person is saying, why am I in a dream? See, it's like you are wealthy, you have a nice job here, and you're dreaming that you're unemployed and suffering. Why would I dream I'm unemployed and suffering when I'm wealthy and well settled in life? You did it. You dreamt last night. It's a possibility. It happened. That's it. Right? Sarada, you had something which was answered?
Oh, I thought we were running out of time, Gautamji.
Quickly.
Quickly, just thinking that along the same lines, is there a factor of magnitude when we talk about Brahman? That's when actually desires and imperfection get created. So is it fair to think along those lines?
What?
When Brahman is infinite, right? That's when desires could get created.
Yes, that is one of the other explanations. I have told you that before, right? A bucket of water has no waves.
Right.
A pond has no waves. A lake has no waves. But you go to an ocean, there's waves.
Right.
So that sheer magnitude creates the possibility of something. Brahman is infinite. Therefore, infinite possibilities. But his point still holds. Why would you choose to come to a lower state? The point is, there is a possibility. As long as something exists, there is a possibility not to recognize it as itself. As long as a rope exists, there's a possibility to see a snake. That's what has happened. It has happened. We are the self, now we are seeing ourselves as something else. The good part is we know how to come out of it. There are many others. Vedanta is not one person. That's what all of you should understand. It's a galaxy of sages and saints. There are 200 Upanishads, even more in the Vedas, 286. Each one by a different sage. And within Upanishads, there are multiple sages. So even the original text, there are hundreds who have realized and contributed. So that was, and from then, another galaxy who's realized the truth. So where's the problem? You can do it. Anybody can do it. Just as they did it. So one thing before we end, that they just told me the retreat is full. So we don't have any more space So anybody is interested to come, you can get on the wait list for September, the Catskills, and sometimes there are cancellations and all, then we can fit you in. But as of now, it's all packed up. People have understood they are ignorant. Or they're just coming for a good time. I don't know. We'll find out next month. Hari Om, we'll see you. Any questions on Wednesday? We can take it up in the Q&A. Hari Om.